Okay, hello traders, it's still Napan here, founder of Master the Markets Elite Trades Conference and the Traders Open Day. So welcome to Market Update 23rd of April 2021. 4 months have already gone by and we're now going into May as well. Time flies, isn't it, traders? But at least the good news is we're slowly coming out of lockdown and we can enjoy the sunshine. Today onto the markets. Today's topic, it's going to be on counter trend. Okay, on counter trend. Now, what is firstly a counter trend move? What is it? You see, for example, firstly, we must understand a counter trend move is basically, in other words, what we call a phase two move. It's against the trend. It's against the trend. So, firstly, it must be in trend first. So, that's the first thing. So, for example, you must have an uptrend first or a downtrend. No compressions here in counter trend. So you must first have it in trend, and at that point, when it goes against the trend, that means when the top gets confirmed, that is what we call a phase two move, and that is what also in other words we call a counter trend move. Okay, so that is what we call a counter trend move. Firstly, it must be in trend. Secondly, it's that phase which goes against the trend in an uptrend, that is the top being confirmed, and here what we call a top to bottom move. So very similar to what we have here on the cable on the daily time frame here. As you can see over here, it's an uptrend, and then now it's coming back down. Top got confirmed as of yesterday. That is what we call a counter trend move or a phase 2 move, because remember, the market or price never moves in a straight line, it moves in cycles. So you will have phase 2 moves. So now that is good that you've understood what is a counter trend move. So we move on forward. Remember, the opposite is true for a downtrend. So for example, it will look like this, and that is what we call the phase 2 move or the counter trend move. Okay, good. Now the second thing is, you may ask, okay, why is this important to know? Okay, the reason why it's important to know is for a various of reasons. Now, one reason why it's important to know this is because one way to trade it is that when you get a counter trend move, usually if you get a very extended move of the counter trend and it keeps going all the way down and you get a price structural failure and it keeps going down further, just like what happened in cable in March 2020. Those are very great long moves to capture when everyone didn't even expect it. So that is one reason why you can look to trade counter trend moves to capture big, massive moves when no one is expecting it. Big, massive moves when no one is expecting it. Another way to trade a counter trend move is to stay out of it and to wait for the phase 1 to resume. Okay, so to position yourself for turning points, that's another way to trade it. Position yourself for turning points back into phase 1. So for example here, you're expecting and you're looking for a turning point for it to come back down again and confirm the top. So you're waiting for that specific point in that counter trend move to revert itself back into momentum. Okay, so that's why it's good to know when it's in counter trend for these two reasons, for either capturing big moves or either capturing turning points. Now, how do we specifically trade it? As I've mentioned in the why, there are two ways. Either you're looking to capture the contrarian move or to capture the momentum move. I will just cover one of the momentum moves, but in relation to a higher time frame. So let's now take a look at that, and I'll give you a specific setup, and I'll give you a very small homework to do as well, and you can look into that. Now, just as I remembered, one thing I must do mention is that we recently have got our trader personality test just released out, which you guys can take as well. Let me just bring up the site that you guys can take that on. Yeah, So as I was saying, the trader's personality test that we've just got is over here. And in fact, the good thing is that we, as our trader coaches for yourself, you can book a coaching session over here and we can run through the trader personality test with you and do a live trading session along with you as well. Okay, so getting back into this now, how do we actually trade this? And do remember as well, you have to tailor a strategy according to your personality. You see, sometimes traders just chase after strategy, and it doesn't really fit their personality. So that's why it's very important to start off with knowing your personality. That's why we design the trader's personality test. And then after that, then to tailor actually a strategy that fits you, especially for beginners or intermediates. This is very, very critical. And especially for beginners, if you can get it right from the beginning, it's much more better. Okay? So that's the whole structure that we have designed the coaching session in, and which will take you through. So the last part of this, you see, for some of your personality, this kind of strategy will fit, and I'm going to give you the pattern on how to trade this counter trend move. Okay. So the first thing first, you have to look for on a lower time frame. In fact, if you see, it's going to be like a counter trend move like that. Let's say this is a downtrend and a phase two move. Okay, downtrend phase two move. And let's say this was on the lower time frame. Let's say, for example, the 1 hour. And on the other hand, on the higher time frame, on a higher time frame, it looks like this. Okay, so it's actually a uptrend phase one where the bottom got confirmed. UTP1, UTP1. Okay, so as you can see over here on the lower time frame, it's a counter trend. But however, in a higher time frame, let's say on the daily or the 4 hour time frame, this is actually in phase one in momentum, in trend phase one. Okay, let's take a look at an example where this is as such. So let's now look at that. So let's see. So let me just put it side by side, then it will make more sense to you. So let me just do this over here and this over here. Okay, so then you can see it side by side and it will make much more sense as well. Okay, good. So we got our charts and you can do that as well by yourself. Okay, so let me just draw that for you. Okay, so over here you see on the 4 hour what you have is something like that, right? It's an uptrend and at the moment it's phase one. See, that's why it's very important to get your tops and bottoms quantified, all right? And then over here, so you see this is a UTP1 on the 4 hour time frame. Whereas on a 1 hour time frame, you can see over here, it is a downtrend phase 2 move. Okay, but both are signaling on the upside. But on one time frame, it's a counter trend move. On the other time frame, it's a momentum move. I would say if you want to trade counter trend, just focus on one pattern first. And once you got that right, and then you move on to the next type of pattern, but in the same category of counter trends. So this one over here, the concept is one time frame is counter trend, but the higher time frame is in momentum. And that's what I've shown you. Why don't you go ahead and practice with a small exercise on other kinds of time frames and also on the opposite side, how about this one being in uptrend phase 2 and then this one being in downtrend phase 1? You can look for that too. Okay, so I'll leave that to you as an exercise. But so far what we have covered so far on this topic of counter trend, we went through what is a counter trend. So firstly it must be in trend, then it's a phase 2 move or a counter trend move. That's the what. Why is it important? Because you can capture very big contrarian moves or in also relation to a trend on a higher time frame, which will surprise people and can give you quite large moves. Okay, that's the large moves. This one is the phase 2. And finally, how I showed you one pattern how you can do it, where in a lower time frame it's a phase 2, but in a higher time frame it's a phase 1 move. Okay, so right, so that's to do with that. So now let's move on to the market. watch, and let's take a look at all the different markets for today, and then we'll move to our performance as well. So over here, as you can see in dollar Swiss, it's a downtrend at the moment. You see, it's a counter trend, just as I talked about, but it's taken a price structural failure, really quite a big move over here. Okay, so that's what we got over here. So open equity is diminishing to the downside, so I would say take it to the upside on this. Dollar yen, on the other hand, as you can see, it's a downtrend move over here. And open equity is diminishing to the downside. I would say be cautious if you are taking still on the downside. Make your stop losses tight because the bars are getting smaller, closes are getting more and more nearer to each other. GBP USD, on the other hand, over here we got an uptrend, but this is a counter trend just confirmed, and on a higher time frame, it is still in a uptrend phase 2 move as well. So if you do want to take it as a reversal, be cautious. I would say still there's a bit more open equity to the downside before it comes to the upside. Euro dollar, on the other hand, as you can see, its open equity is diminishing to the upside, so I would be cautious on that. Aussie dollar open equity is diminishing to the upside, so I would look more to the downside. GBP yen open equity is diminishing to the downside, so I would look for a reversion into phase 1. Bitcoin, on the other hand, there's a bit of a drop at the moment. It's at a price structural failure, and it's gone below its 50,000 level. Open equity is diminishing to the downside. I would say short-term retracement to the upside. Brent oil, on the other hand, you can see over here, it's an uptrend at the moment. Open equity is diminishing to the upside. But I would say if this is a small profit taking point, first level to look at is for this to be taken out before we look at any shorts to the downside or wait for a confirmation. Gold, on the other hand, you can see over here, open equity is diminishing to the upside, so I would look for, if I'm cautious, more tighter stop loss, and wait. If I want to take counter trend moves, then I'll relate to a higher time frame, or wait to take it for the top to be confirmed first. FTSE, on the other hand, uptrend, open equity diminishing to the upside over here, so I would look for shorts at the moment. And even if I were to take longs, I'd be a bit more cautious, and I'd look for particular resistance levels to be taken out. Dow Jones, on the other hand, open equity, of course, has diminished to the upside, is confirmed, still hovering around. I would say more open equity definitely to the downside if it takes out this level over here. Okay. S&P, very similar. Over here again on the support level, if I take that out, then I'm looking more to the downside. Silver, on the other hand, open equity still a little bit more to the upside, but I'll still be cautious after this profit taking over here if it does stall once again. Wheat, on the other hand, really strong upward move over here that we had after a small profit taking here. Definitely open equity diminished to the downside, looking more to the open equity diminished to the upside, looking more to the downside for shorting opportunities on this for short-term moves. Okay, or else if you don't want to do counter trend, you wait for the trend phase 1 to come back up again. Right, I guess that's pretty much that on the market watch over there. And now we move on to our performance. This is the market update performance for this week. So Elite Room, quite flat on most of the strategies, not getting our setups. Market has been quiet. Slow exits, we had a small profit of 0.5%. In terms of the live trading room, we had a little bit of small losses. Three strategies here flat. Other three strategies, we took a little bit of small losses here, 0.83, 0.29, 0.41. Overall, minus 1.53% on the live trading room. Remember, when the market is not in momentum and you're not getting your setups, you'll go through small drawdowns like this, but just keep it very, very small. So across the two rooms, you can see we've kept the loss quite small, minus 1.04%, with it one balancing out the elite room. Curve is a bit more spooner because we take very, very quality setups, low frequency. Alright, so I think that's pretty much that from me on this market update. So the topic that we went through is counter trend. Do reflect on it, do integrate it, do practice it, and then also start to practice also practically on the screen and observe those setups as well. Okay, so that's all from me. And the last reminder I just remembered is, yeah, your personality test. So we'll be happy to meet you guys and to do that personality test with you. It'll be very interesting. We are very excited as well to put more people through the test and to tailor a strategy that fits you so that you can really enjoy the process and be in the flow of the market for peak performance. So we look forward to seeing you on the coaching session where we'll do the trader personality test and tailor a strategy or direct you to a video course that will be pertaining to your personality. All right, that's all from me for now. And as we always say, till the next time, stay disciplined, follow your trading plan, and keep trading like a master.